Oh, hi, Saudat. Hi.
Hi,
Nice to see you.
nice to see you too.
All right, thank you so much. Okay, so we're going to go in this order. Okay, Saudat, since your camera is already on mute, already open, right? And your mic is unmuted, we'd like you to go first. Firstly, I would like you to know that this is a safe space. African Girls Empowerment Network is a recognized NGO, and so every information you share here is safe, and your identity would not be shared outside what you feel comfortable sharing. Please take your time and share what you would like us to know. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to be reading or introducing Saudat to us. Saudat
Hello,
Yaki. Saudat Sarkin Yaki is
hello.
from, yes, I can hear you. That's um Saudat, can you hear me? Hello. I don't think
Yes,
you
I
can hear
can.
me. Okay,
Yes,
okay, great. Okay. So
we
as
can
I
hear
was
you.
in, okay, great. I was introducing Saudat. So I said Saudat Serikinyaki is from Kuta, Shiroro local government area of Niger State. She's a medical laboratory technician, a business mogul, and a peace advocate. And she's here today to share her GBV life experience with us. And we are so happy to have you on our call. All right, so Saudat, you can begin now. Thank you.
Okay, I would like to appreciate the 8 years and STEM Girls organization for recognizing me and for giving me this wonderful opportunity to share my experience. I'm thrilled with the lectures so far from different speakers from different organizations. All right, firstly, my experience I'm going to share is on just let's say a current issue that happened in my neighboring area, that's Kuta, Shuru local government of Niger State. There was a man, a disabled man, who molested, or let me say, who was molesting a girl. A girl, I think she wasn't up to 14 years of age. So he molested her sexually
So that please, can
three
you
times.
speak up a little bit? We are struggling to
Hello?
hear you. Can you
Hello?
be louder?
Can
Can
you
you
hear me?
hear me? Yeah,
Can
but
you hear
can
me?
you speak up? We are struggling to hear you.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
So
Thank you.
that man was sexually molesting her twice a week. So I think due to fear that when she tell her parents or when she tell people around, the man the man might beat her or do something to her. So they were on that to the extent that they were caught up just at the backyard of their house. So the issue was taken to the station and the man was taken to prison for 3 months. So on coming back, when I was like talking to the man, he was telling me he wasn't the one doing it alone. Like there are people, she was engaged with a lot of people due to the money they give her. So my advice is here that I would like to let me say the suggestion I would like to put on table here is that the youth empowerment I heard some speaker talking of is a very important suggestion that we should encourage our girls. Let's have something. Let's get them something doing. Let them be empowered so that they can be molested sexually because of money or food. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Saudat, for sharing your experience. And indeed, all the organizations you have heard speak today are doing just what you suggested, that they empower women all its organizations, including the lawyer, is working towards ensuring that ladies are empowered both with the requisite knowledge and the needed skill sets to be able to defend themselves against gender-based violence. All right, so before we go,
one more thing.
okay, yes, you can go ahead.
One more thing is the advice I'm going to give again is that on reaching to the grassroots level, when the empowerment is going to be carried on, we should know the kind of people we are going to involve in so that the empowerment will get to the targeted people. You know, there are places like IDPS that I would suggest when capturing people, the IDPS should be captured among, and then some grassroots level. Because when things are happening like this, the grassroots level are not even aware. They don't know what is happening. And most of them are not, they are not getting, and most of them don't get access to media or anything. You just have to be verbal. The campaign must be there. So I'm suggesting this to, and hope my suggestion will be put into consideration. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sauda. That's actually the aim of a session like this. That is why we have it online, and we are grateful that you were willing to share your story, because the truth is that sometimes we feel like our voices don't get heard, or we're not saying enough, or we're not doing enough, or like those that are up there will not hear what we have to say. But that's not true. The truth is that if you shout and shout hard enough and shout loud enough, even when you're in an enclosed space, one day it will catch the attention of those who need to hear that. And just as you said that this this initiative should be targeted at people in rural areas. Onyinyechi mentioned the fact that she works with people in rural areas. Esther mentioned the same thing, and our lawyer also mentioned the same thing, right? They are all working with underserved locations. So we would do more.
Why you had me saying this is I've not seen something of this nature around our axis.
Niger, that's amazing. I'm sure that we can all hear this, including Age Network and all the other agencies here. You can hear Niger State is calling out to you. Niger State is willing to host you. Their females will be very grateful that we can make these solutions available to them. This is amazing, Saudat. I'm sure that when they come there, when they come to your state, you would be willing to assist them with contacts they would need, with resources, information, translation when they will need it, to be able to help the ladies in your community. And as much as we are going to come, you can begin to do groundwork in your environment by, reaching out. So I'm sure at the end of this event, do well to write to or send a message back to Martina, and we'll begin to work on ways to get these initiatives to your end as well. And then for the organizations that are online with us that would also like to reach out and make their initiatives or their impact felt in the northern region, Niger State, for example, we would love you to also reach out to Martina and the Age Network, and we'll be able to connect with you. Just as Ekaite said, Mr. Ekaite talked about networking, collaboration. Collaboration is the new gold. It is power.
I will love
collaborate together. Yeah, don't no, that's not a problem. We are happy you are here.
And we did not just bring you on our group after this session.
Yes. We did not just bring you on our platform to hear your story and leave you with your problem. We are solution providers. We are change makers. So we would work with what you have said, and your suggestions would definitely not be taken for granted. Thank you so much for your contribution. Thank you so much, Sada. Thank you. Okay, now we're going to
meet you someday.
Yes, I would also love to meet you, and I'm sure that these agencies fancy as well. One day we'll be able to come to Nigeria as well and reach out. So we'll work on that collaboration and all, and we should be able to get to your place. Thank you for being a great advocate for your people, and I know that one day you would be empowered to do so much more for them than just what you have done now. Thank you so much. Okay, so We are going to move now to Christine. Christine, are you here? Saudat, you can mute your mic now, please. Thank you.
Yes, I'm here.
All right, great. So, over to you now. We would like to hear your story. Remember, this is a safe space. You should share just as much as you are comfortable sharing, what you are willing to let people know. Understand that we are not going to use your information for any wrong purposes, and the fact is, those that see this post are going to be able to reach out and give help as well as organizations that are here. So, please feel free to share as much as you feel like sharing, under pressure of any kind. All right, we are here to listen to you and to implement solutions to be able to tackle this problem even as you share. Thank you. You have the floor now.
Thank you so much. I want to say I'm glad to be here to share my experience with my fellow young women and girls, to be able to learn from my mistakes and make sure to be able to address future issues that may surface.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Christine. So, Christine, before I let you go ahead, right, I want
Okay.
those listening and those that watch to have a brief overview of who you are and understand what you do, right? Okay, so Christine is from Liberia, right? She's a student, she's an activist, a social worker, and a feminist. She engages with young women and people living with disabilities and adolescent girls in building their capacity to speak up for their rights. She's also involved with championing the rights of young women, youths, adolescent girls, and people living with disabilities for inclusion, gender equality, and equal participation in leadership and decision making. I am so proud. I wanted to share with everybody because when I read your profile, I felt like, wow, after the things you had gone through, you are still able to achieve all of this and emerge as a voice in your country and in this field. We're excited to hear from you. You can go ahead now. Thank you so much, Christine.
Thank you so much. Like I said earlier, I'm so glad to be here. I am a Liberian and a girl who have been in a domestic violence for 6 years. So it all started when I left my hometown after I graduated from the senior high division level, that's the secondary school, and I decided to follow my education in Monrovia, that is the capital city of Liberia. So I went there and met this guy who I felt was the word for me. And he became so kind. He was so kind. He was doing everything perfect. And I said, yes, this is the guy. So as time went by, it was in 2013, we got into that relationship. So in 2014, I got pregnant. So being pregnant was as if I have turned the world against me within that relationship. I was molested. I was abused. I was physically abused. I was emotionally abused. I was verbally abused. And I was there and trying and saying that, yes, this guy is going to change. So my parents, my friends, my families all came together, gave me one advice to another, and say, Chris, this relationship is not for you. This relationship is going to lead to your death. So it's now time you speak up, leave this relationship, and make the positive impact of your life than to be here and be killing yourself for one guy that does not know your value. So because of that, I kept on saying this guy was going to change. So it was on 2014, February 13, and this guy asked me out. So I and he went out. And he said I was kind of a tripping, maybe looking at another guy. So I was beaten. I was stabbed. If you can see, this is the mark. I don't know, I'm sharing my screen with you. Hello?
Yes, you can.
Hello?
Yes. Ah, yeah, we can hear
Yes, we
you.
can
We
hear
can
you.
Yes,
hear
we
We
you.
can
can
see
hear you.
you. We can see your screen.
Okay.
Yes, I can
So
see
this is
you.
the mark you see in my hands here. I was stabbed with a battle, and that almost took my life. I was beaten. I was dragged on the quarter from where we went and home. So even the clothes that I wore that day was torn off. And I was still there saying that yes, he's gonna change, he's gonna change, he's gonna change. This is my life. I want this relationship. And I was doing everything in my power to make sure that this relationship worked. So, and this guy was not willing to change at all. He was abusive. He was not thinking of taking his life forward. He marginalized me. He disrespected me. And I said, what am I doing this to myself? Looking at the potential that I have, I've been a high school student, used to be very active, communicating with my friends and doing all of this. But now I'm seeing myself in a situation that I cannot help myself. Even my colleagues and friends are trying to be of help to me. Yet I'm still saying that yes, I cannot make a move. So it was on October 2020 that I decided to speak up and stand up for my rights. So I told this guy, enough is enough. You cannot be maltreating me all of the time at your will. I don't have a say. My voice is not heard. I'm being maltreated. I'm being physically abused. So I decided to speak up and stand up for my right. And that was the time, that was the decision I took that better off my life today. So I told him, I said, though we are into a relationship, but this it is not time that we call a spade a spade. If you want us to be, if you want us to take this relationship to another level, we as young people should sit in this course. My decision should be taken. I should be a partaker of, I should be in full participation of every decision we are going to make within the relationship. Boom. The guy jumped and said no. So I said, since it is not like that, then this relationship is over. And he said, this relationship is not over because I was the one that came to you and said, I want you. So there's no way you are leaving me. So I said, let's play the game and see. So we were there from October 2020. And it was the same tussle and bustle. If I goes out with my friends, if I go to attend trainings, when I come back home, I'm beaten. So one day we had a fight. He beat me unmercifully that even my brother got irritated about that and he decided to join into the fight. So his mother, who I thought was a woman like me, should be the one to be protecting me and saying to a child, no, this is not right. This is someone else's to the child. You don't treat another person's child like that. You have a sister. She was the one behind everything. She was so annoying. She was so violent, and she would be like, yes, a woman should be disciplined by her husband. So on that day of the fight, it was in December that I made up my mind and I said, I am leaving this relationship. Because you cannot be in a relationship, you are failing for yourself, that of your kids. You be in a relationship, you are paying a house rent. Everything relating to the home affair, you are doing it. And that person you think you are doing all of that for does not appreciate you. So I left and decided to further my education. So I came back to where I am presently. I came back to further my education. So I went back to school. I'm presently a student of the Continental Youth College, reading accounting. But like she said in my profile, I'm a social worker. And that's why me being a student, I have been engaged with young women because before I train or before we have a discussion, I explain my past to them to know what I've been through and what is the reason why I'm trying to protect my fellow women. So that is how it has been. I've been engaged.
Thank you so much, Christine. Thank you for sharing that. That is quite a journey that
With
you have
them,
been
provide
on.
your safe space. I speak out. I'm going to be bullied in my community. People is going to point their fingers at me, say, yeah, there she goes. But I'm saying it to us today as women and girls, learn to speak up for every violence you are going through. Don't just sit and say, yeah, all is well. So I'm proud to be an activist, a feminist who is now championing the rights of women and making sure that women in the society know their values, know how to prevent violence, and how to stand up against their male counterparts in domestic violence. Thank you so much for providing me this space. Thank you.
Amazing, amazing, Christine. Thank you so much for sharing it. This is quite a journey that you have been on, and you are so proud. You're so bold. You are so courageous. Ah, I don't think many people will be able to share this. It is a lot to admit mistakes, to admit your fears, to admit what went wrong. It's a very big privilege as well for us to have you on our call. I'm sure that ladies everywhere that are hearing your story and that we hear your story, we take it to heart. Never to stay in an abusive relationship, to learn to speak up for themselves. And we also encourage you to continue the good work that you are doing. Certain people have pains and then they make the pain become their life. They make the pain become a god to them, and then they do not advance. But people like you, people like Saldat, you have turned your pain into an inspiration to help other people, to help them become better, right? You did not camp around your perceived pain and challenges. You have transformed it to be something that would shine a light for many more ladies. Even as you keep going around sharing your story and empowering ladies, we want to say we see you, we celebrate your work, and we look forward to hearing so many things that will come out from your end in Liberia. And as you continue to empower them, I believe that one day this story will be shared all across the world on larger platforms, right? On bigger platforms with thousands, millions of ladies everywhere getting empowered from what you have shared, and that young girls would know that love would come at the right time, and you should never love somebody at the expense of your life. Thank you so much for being a champion. Thank you so much for
Christine,
doing this. All right. So,
thank
Christine,
you very much. Christine, thank you very much. I just want you to know that you're a very courageous woman. It's one thing to pass through a situation or to pass through something in life, and also, through that experience, you want to help other women. There are few of you out there who want to use their experiences to help other people out there. That's what I'm saying. Thank you very much for coming out here to share your story with us, and also using your experience to also better other women's life and also empowering women out there. Thank you so much.
all right now. Thank you, all. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Saudat, and thank you, Christine. We are going to be moving into the panel session shortly. I just want to confirm that our speakers are still on board with us. Fancy, are you still there? Hi, Fancy.
Yes, I am.
All right, great. Thank you so much. Dr. Success, are you still with us? Hello, Dr. Success, are you still with us? Okay, hi, Onyinye, are you still with us, please?
Yes, I am.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okay, we are happy that you are here. And please, Martina, can you reach out to Dr. Success on the back end? Let's know that he's still with us on the call. All right, so we are going to be moving into our panel session now. And in this panel session, we want to see gender-based violence from a wider perspective. You know, just as I said about Christine, we should not camp around our challenges. We should look for a way to better it, right? Now, we're going to be having a panelist session on the intersection of gender-based violence and the Sustainable Development Goals in Sub-Saharan Africa. We want to discuss on post-pandemics. COVID-19 now is gone, but what are the after effects? What did it leave in its wake? We want to see economic crisis and how it relates to gender-based violence. Then insecurity as a bottleneck to ending violence against women and girls. We're going to be having a case study on the Naira devaluation that we have really faced in the year 2023, the inflation rate, and the existing and so other existing issues in Nigeria, including floods and communal crisis. Now, we have some African countries represented here. We have Fancy, I think Fancy is from Kenya. Then we have Liberia. We have Christine from Liberia. So we would like you to make your discussion broad. Don't center it just on Nigeria, because it's African Girls Empowerment Network. After all, it's Africa. We are focusing on Africa, and we want to see how we would make our Africa beautiful again. Now we're going to have questions. I would call out to the speaker that I would like to speak to, right? So we'll go around. The first question for today will be going to Onyinye. Now, Onyinye, we want to understand. Our first question for you is, what is the most common form of gender-based violence in your community, or at least in the communities where you carry out your initiative? What is the most common form of gender-based violence that you have noticed?
Yes, thank you so much, Faith. So yes, from Strong Enough Girls' work, the most common form of gender-based violence we've noticed are sexual violence, but also specifically intimate partner violence. So violence between spouses, men beating up their wives, or girls in relationships that are abusive. Yes, so that's the most common ones we've seen.
All right, great. Okay, so now before we continue, I want to give us a little breakdown or brief on what we as Belle by Choice have done in research on our own. Just as you said, intimate partner violence is a big deal. And just like Christine said, it's something that we need to look into more. I don't know why it's that bad, but this is our take on it now. The intersection of gender-based violence in sub-Saharan Africa reflects a complex tapestry of woven by the interplay of various factors, each impacting and exacerbating the prevalence of GBV in unique ways. In the aftermath of the political crisis we have experienced in many African countries, for example, I'm sure we can remember that of Niger Republic, the one that happened with the elections in Nigeria, the one that happened in the other countries here in Africa, right? So the economic downturns that the whole world has faced, and Africa being a major victim of that, the financial instability in sub-Saharan Africa and the sub-Saharan African nations, the challenges we have faced in addressing and mitigating gender-based violence. All these factors, the political factor, the economic downturns, the financial instability, have all affected the extent to which we we have been able to mitigate or address gender-based violence. The repercussions of this conflict, coupled with the strain of economic crisis, has created an environment where vulnerable populations, which are women and children, right, girls, are disproportionately affected. Also, climate change mitigations, just as Dr. Success talked about, climate change efforts in the region intertwine with GBV dynamics as changing environmental conditions often amplify gender inequalities. I would like to mention a few on my end, things like increase in infection, because when the climate changes, there's less water in some communities, right? We have they place lots of additional burdens on women and girls, increasing the risk of this gender-based violence. A lady has sex, or maybe in local communities, suburbs, a man goes into his wife, and because they are trying to manage water, limited water caused by climate change, these ladies don't end up washing themselves after that, right? And they just stay with all those infections, all those deaths, and keep creating problems for themselves and even for their children. So this is the foundation upon which we want to have this discussion about the gender-based violence. Now, each of our panelists have been given questions, right? They have been giving different aspects of this to address. Now, Onyinye has given us from her end common factors, common GBV forms, such as she said, intimate partner violence, which is a real big issue. Now, my next question, we're going to be asking generally now. Can you share? I want to throw this question to Fancy now. Fancy, this question is for you. Can you share your take on the intersection of gender-based violence and the achievement of the UN SDGs in sub-Saharan Africa? Now, to buttress this fact, rather to detail this question, I would like to say that we have had an agenda, SDG agenda for 2030, right? And gender-based violence has not reduced as much as we would love it to reduce, especially in Africa, if we are to meet up with the target, which is gender equality, right? And gender equity and gender equality. Now, we want to hear your take, Fancy, on the intersection. How are they related, gender-based violence and the achievements of the UN SDGs in sub-Saharan Africa? Thank you.
Yeah, I guess we lost her. Maybe she's trying to rejoin.
All right. So before she rejoins,
So,
I would like us to throw this question. Okay, we
I think
are also
Madam
missing.
Oyem, I have a slide to
Yes.
share as regards an area of discussion that was sent to us.
All right. So I think we're going to pause on that question and get back to it. But we have some questions that have been curated for you, Onyinye, and one of them is, give us now your own take on overview on the relationship between leadership and underemployment or unemployment as a barrier to gender-based violence or gender-based violence reduction. We know that based on what you shared with us, you have been working with girls and even boys, right, to empower them to be able to protect themselves, as you said, beyond just giving them pads. You are trying to empower them beyond that. So can you help us, give us an overview or speak into the relationship between leadership and unemployment as a barrier to gender-based violence reduction, please?
Yes. So thank you for that question. Just to say, in other words, what you're asking is, how does leadership and unemployment prevent us from addressing gender-based violence? Correct?
Exactly. Thank you.
Okay. So I guess I'll start with the leadership piece. And well, I guess what's the relationship between leadership and unemployment? So when we look at the leaders that we have in our world, women are still underrepresented in leadership. And when we think of who make decisions, it's usually the leaders. And there's so many decisions that are impacting women's lives, those decisions are leading to gender-based violence, or the lack of decisions are leading to gender-based violence. So in terms of a relationship, one relationship between leadership as a barrier is the fact that the more we have more men as leaders, the less we're going to make progress, because when you have women are able to understand the issues that other women are dealing with. They're also able to ensure that policies are implemented to protect the health and the well-being of women. Another thing that I think of when I think of leadership is also in the world, I think gender norms have told us that men are the ones to be heard and to be seen, and it has allowed a lot of women. I think this is what has perpetuated the culture of silence, because many women are not taking the lead in speaking out. Sometimes we're waiting for other people to tell our stories. So I feel like these are some of the ways that the lack of women being empowered to lead is taking us to gender-based violence, and especially in the university environment or in schools, when girls are not supported to be leaders, then they can't enforce policies on campus that will ensure that other girls are protected, or they're not going to have the resources, because leadership also comes with resources. I think of leadership as also having power. So when you think of who has access to resources, if women don't have resources to protect themselves, to prevent certain things, it leads to a lack of addressing gender-based violence. And then in regards to underemployment or unemployment, of course, yet again, women make up the bigger proportion of people who are underemployed or unemployed, because it's not that women are not working, it's a lot of the work that women are doing goes unpaid. And women are not able to, like, if you're not able to buy a sanitary pad for yourself as a college student, and you have to rely on someone, or you've lost your parents, there's nobody helping you out, and all of a sudden a young man takes interest in you, or an older man takes interest in you, and he feels like because he's giving you things, or even the woman sometimes feels like because a man is helping her, she's basically now his property, so he can basically treat her anyway. And it doesn't even always have to be physical abuse, but a lot of girls and young women are experiencing emotional abuse because they don't have a job, they don't have the economic resources to be able to stand on their own, so they are depending on somebody else. And then for people who are in abusive relationships, a woman who is, maybe we can say she's a stay-at-home mom, and maybe she's in a marriage where the man is the one that is in charge of the budget, he has access to the bank accounts. If he begins to beat her up or do things that are that violate her rights, she's not going to be able to help herself get out of that situation. So a lot of people that don't have jobs find themselves feeling at the mercy of somebody else. So I would say those are the ways that leadership and underemployment can be a barrier for addressing gender-based violence, because when you ensure that women and girls have access to leadership opportunities, actually, let me speak on leadership for adolescent girls. One of the things that I've worked on in Nigeria is family life and HIV education. And usually some parents think that curriculum is corrupting students because there's aspect of comprehensive sexuality education in it. But family life and HIV education actually is about giving young people comprehensive life skills. So in my experience, when girls are taught how to be assertive, how to negotiate, they're going to be able to negotiate their way out of a potentially abusive relationship. One of the reasons I got into this work that I'm doing is because I kept hearing girls say, I did not know. And then I also realized that because girls are always quiet, guys often assert this power or authority over them. So if we're able to teach girls how to know you have a voice, how to use that voice, how to know what is comfortable for you. So this is what we mean by leadership. If we have girls taking the leadership over their own lives, that's the other thing. It seems we live in a culture or society where, like, the woman belongs to a man. Even single people, still at the end of the day, they feel like if you don't have a man over you, you're not worth anything. but we need to be able to help girls know that you are worth everything, even just by yourself. You don't need a man to be able to tell you what feels comfortable to you. So I feel like because we don't have enough girls being trained on leadership skills, things like assertiveness, things like even knowing how to ask for help, knowing how to seek help. These are all leadership characteristics that many young women don't have access to. And then, of course, there's the unemployment as a barrier. So these are the things that really hamper the progress. And I think this ties into the question you're asking about how does gender-based violence, how is it related to achieving the Sustainable Development Goals? Because so there's a goal around, goal 3 is around quality education. Goal 4 is goal 5 is gender equality. So if we're not achieving gender equality, if we're not getting more girls in school, if we're not getting more women access to money or finances, we're going to continue to see women that are being abused just because they didn't know their rights, or they haven't gotten the kind of support that they need to be able to get themselves out of those situations. I hope I've been clear on that.
Yes, you have been very, very clear. I
Okay.
love the fact that firstly you understood the question I asked with all the twisted grammar, and you're able to really break it down, because so I've seen young girls, young teenagers, and even adults, right, that we are led and molested sexually with just 200 naira, with just a plate of Indomie, of noodles, right? They were used like dogs and dumped just because of that. Now, but when these young girls are empowered with vocational skills, right, that makes them employable, tech skills, social skills that makes them employable, social skills like leadership, they would be able to say no to it. No, 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 I know my worth, right? So leadership, I see, like as you speak, as you keep speaking, I keep seeing the work you are doing, and I'm really impressed with it, because many times they see leadership as presidency, governorship, but leadership is beyond that. Leadership is being able to have your own voice, being able to stand yourself. I've come to learn that um any transformative leadership, any great leadership will start with self-leadership. If you cannot lead yourself, you cannot lead anybody. And with the work you are doing, these young girls are being empowered to lead themselves first. And then, one empowered young girl will empower her friend. She would not want her friend to fall into it. And that friend will empower her sister. And that sister will empower her own friend. And the circle just keeps getting bigger. And indeed, we'll be able to achieve our aim of reducing gender-based violence. Thank you so much for that contribution. It's amazing. Hi, Fancy. You are back now. Hi, Fancy. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Yes, I can.
Amazing, amazing. Your voice is clear now. All right. So, Fancy, I have a question for you, right? Based on our agenda, we would like to speak on the intersection of communal or political crisis with gender-based violence against women and girls in sub-Saharan Africa. Where do they meet? And how do they influence each other? How does communal and political crisis influence gender-based violence? Please take it. Let's hear what you have to say.
Thank you very much, Faith. Of course, when there is political or any kind of stability in society, the biggest people that are normally affected are women and girls. And I want to just borrow from our previous panelist points of leadership. The fact that women don't even have voice is also an issue of leadership. And the fact that they don't have voice, they are most prone to being affected when we have any form of disturbance, armed conflict, or anything of the nature. And so when we have conflicts, we have instability when it comes to channeling of basic resources, water, food, medical care, education as well. And so you find even for the girls that had not even had a chance to go to school or were struggling to go to school, or when the process of getting to school will definitely not be able to achieve school anymore, when you find there is those that need to be, go to the hospital for any particular services, will not be able to access hospital, either because hospital is being used as a base by the military or has been attacked, for the cases that we've continuously seen over media, mainstream media, and even on social media. Also, there is issues of not being able to participate in anything. I remember, just to bring context, during our 2021 elections here in Uganda, presidential elections in January, around mid-January of 2021, we had a shutdown of internet for about, I think, 3 days or then 2 days or something. And then this, of course, we could not access, we could not communicate with anyone. You literally could, I think, only make a call. Yes, we could only make phone calls. But then remember, there were so many businesses of women. Many women do businesses online. Instagram, for example, is popularly known for doing particular business-related women businesses. And so those came to a standstill. Women, of course, could not, be a part of voting easily, in the sense of, campaigning for your mate or campaigning for a particular candidate, because the internet has been shut down. Internet shutdown could be one way of a political crisis, one way or another, given the nature of how it brings everything to a standstill, it disorganizes systems. And so finding the correlation or the intersection is that if we don't have peace, if we have instability, we're definitely sending women into a violence activated mood, for them being victims at a larger level. So for me, that would be it. Peace is one way that we can be sure of we shall be having a violence free or a no violence society, given the fact that when we have peace in place, then we are assured of systems being respectful, systems being in place, even systems being equal, and there is full representation. We are assured of resources and energies being channeled towards all groups of people, marginalized or not. And so without peace, or with wars, with conflicts of any nature, then we are assured of having an increase in the number that the UN did state for us this year for the 16 days of activism. Over 736 million women in the world being the victims of either physical or intimate violence. So if we continue having cases of communal or political crises, then we're assured of having more than the 736 million women experience violence as often as they can. Yeah, over to you.
Thank you so much for that, Fancy. Based on what you said now, you really painted a clear picture of what happens to women. Just imagine that during that period where the network was shut down, even if a girl or a woman felt like, okay, this place I am currently is not really safe, I would like to get out without really drawing attention to it, she would not be able to even send a text out, right? To say, oh, I'm about to be molested, or someone just hit me now, because during situations where network is down, internet service providers are down, it tends to limit areas that can really have those phone calls, even as you said. And indeed, their businesses will also be down, which means they will have to be dependent on their male benefactors or people that these same molesters. So that's very true. Thank you so much for that. Hi, Dr. Success. Are you on call? Can you hear me, sir?
Yes,
Thank you so much. All right. Thank you so much, sir. Okay, sir. So our question for you is on climate change. We would like to know the linkage or the intersection between climate change and gender-based violence mitigation. How do they superimpose on each other?
Okay. Climate change has several implications across the globe. It affects the food system, ecosystem, as well as natural resources. However, the major root cause of gender-based violence is usually gender inequality and unequal power among households. But climate change is also contributing to the factor or exacerbating gender-based violence. For instance, where there is water scarcity or water poverty or food shortage, women or girls are usually asked to go take care of that. In a household, it's women that take care of a household need like food, water. So when climate change is increasing water scarcity. It's also resulting to inequality among women. So it's one of the ways climate change is contributing to gender-based violence. It's also leading to exploitation, sexual exploitation, early forced marriage because of dry land. Socioeconomic status are decreasing. Most households are not able to take care of their family, so they are forced to marry their kids or their child up very early because they are unable to cater for them. So climate change is exacerbating gender-based violence. Also, when there is maybe conflict, when there is earthquake, when there is mudslide, it also affects women because even those who are not affected are also being traumatized, and all these things are leading to gender-based violence. So that is one of the ways, or some of the ways, climate change is exacerbating or increasing gender-based violence. It can also lead to displacement, food insecurity, because women are usually affected in terms of food insecurity when they are unable to provide for their family because of climate change. When rain is not falling as it is fall, when the environment is not providing enough sunshine for crop to grow, all these things are leading to gender-based violence. Women will have to work heavily or more in order to provide for their family. Most households, it's women that care for food needs. So it is disrupting the ecosystem and also leading to gender-based violence. So it's something that global community have to do, have to look at to see how they can reduce the impact of climate change, and also by empowering or building capacity of women and girls. COP is currently on in Dubai now or in UAE, and these things surround most of the discussion or key political decisions surround how to empower women and girls or empower women and girls and build their capacity in adapting to climate change. It also boils down to how do I put it? Emissions, greenhouse gas emissions in households. Gender-based violence is contributing to climate change. Climate change is contributing to gender-based violence in the sense that when there is dry land, when rain is not falling, women are forced to toil in order to provide for household needs, particularly food. Also, when there is increased climate change, they are also being exposed to respiratory diseases because they spend more time in the kitchen. For instance, a woman, most of them, they spend more time in the kitchen, and most of them use open fire, which is not clean, or energy that is not clean to provide for their family. And when they use this open fire, they inhale a lot of carbon monoxide that is not good for their health. It's because of climate change that they have to go out to fetch for firewood. And when they come back, they still have to make that food for the family. And in the process, they are also inhaling carbon monoxide from what they are preparing. So it's leading to displacement, it's leading to inequality, it's leading to forced marriage, it's leading to abuse and domestic violence. So also a house that a family that of 5 or 6 or 7, as the case may be, if is the woman or the wife or the mother of the house that should provide more for the family. So the husband may have to force him. You've not made food, you've not done this, you've not fetched water, you've not done this and that. So all these things are part of gender-based violence, or ways of which climate change contributes to gender-based violence. And in the process, even in a normal in a conventional house or in a normal house where women may not be fully exposed to climate change, most of the activities of women are also contributing to climate change. For instance, most of the activities of gender-based violence is also contributing to climate change. For instance, a woman who has been physically abused by the husband may be forced to do any of the household activity in disarray. He may have to leave maybe if he wants to watch or wash the clothes for the kids and the husband, he may forget that he's leaving the tap open, and leaving the tap open, not knowing that she might be flooding somewhere. So you see how both of them are interlinked. Why climate change is also contributing, gender-based violence is also contributing. So why the woman or the lady is washing or cleaning the house, he might forget that he have to turn off the tap, not knowing that he might be flooding somewhere. So all those flooding is also contributing to climate change. Tomorrow we'll see incessant flooding and the rest. So this is how climate change is exacerbating or contributing, or among the contributing factor to gender-based violence. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Success. So you see, that's why when we are planning, we said we must have a man on the call, we must have a man on our panel because it will really give balance. So from what you said, one of the things I picked is the fact that gender-based violence is not just when they punch a lady in the face or when she's sexually harassed. It is also when women are giving 90% of the work in the house, and the 10% that is contributed by the man is just donating his sperm. That is part of it. When a man marries a woman and doesn't give her access to some modernized, I'm not saying all, at least some modernized cooking equipment or utensils to ensure that even as she's preparing that food, even as she's going about her chores in the house, she's still healthy enough and safe enough to be able to do all of this. This is an amazing insight you have brought to the table, really. And it's exciting to know that at COP28, currently going on in Dubai, as I said, women are being put into perspective, women are being considered in that. Recently, that should be last 2 weeks at the Gender and Inclusion Summit, we everything was centered around how women can be empowered. Now, I really hope and pray that the suggestions being gotten and the consensus that are going to be reached at the COP28 are fully implemented in cultural, traditional societies like Nigeria, like other African nations women, where we are really religious and women are supposed to be really left at the background. So thank you so much for your contribution, sir. And please stay on. I have very important questions I still want to ask you. But before I go
Okay.
ahead, I would like to thank you so much, Saya. I would like to welcome Esther Idota. Esther, welcome. Welcome
Thank you
back.
so much. Thank you very
Yes.
much. Can you hear me?
Welcome back. Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you. All right. So, Esther, you are supposed to. We are our question for you today. Um, is supposed to be centered around the work you do, right? So, my first question for you now is going to be, in your field experience in your community as well, what is the most common form of gender-based violence you have noticed?
Okay, sexual. Sexual is a major one. We have a lot of rape cases around us, and also the physical one too, and then psychological, but majorly sexual and physical. So we get to have a lot of rape cases around us. For both even kids, teenagers, and even adults, and also physical abuse. So that's
Hi, Esther, can you work on your mic a bit? We can't really
okay.
hear you clearly. And I would actually really love to see your
Okay,
face.
should I repeat?
Yes, please. That would be lovely.
Okay. I'm so sorry. I
If we
think
could
it's the
see you as
earbud I
well,
was.
we would. Okay, yeah, earpiece does that a lot.
Yeah,
If we
so I've
could see
had
you,
to remove.
we would be
I've
very
removed it
happy.
now. I hope you can hear me now.
I can hear you loud and clear. Thank you so much.
Okay, so I was saying that from from my community and from the experiences I've had in the field, it's majorly sexual sexual abuse, and then physical too and psychological, but majorly sexual and physical, because we have a lot of rape cases, rape cases of underage girls, and teens, young adults, and even adults, and even physical abuse. Um, where and then also psychological, but majorly the sexual and physical.
All right, excellent. Thank you so much. So, you said sexual and physical. That is great. That is really great. All right, now we would. I want to ask my next question now, to Onyinye. Onyinye, please. My next question for you now is this. So, just like you heard Saudat talk about how she felt like these initiatives are not coming down to her area, right? And the fact that she would like to have more of it in that region of the country. I want to know, so what are some practices that your organization is taking to tackle gender-based violence in connection with unemployment and underemployment? So I know you work with teenagers, right? But in what ways are you doing anything in that line? Are you doing anything towards tackling gender-based violence from the angle of unemployment or underemployment? If you are, please share with us some of your experiences.
Yes. So Segai works with adolescent girls, but we also work with young women, and we define young women as women age 18 through 35. So on the topic of addressing underemployment, I told you that earlier, we have 3 arms that we focus on: education, mentorship, and life skills development. So for example, during International Youth Day this year, we had a virtual program that had about 100 young people. We initially wanted to do it just for women, but we had a lot of interest, and the donor also asked us to incorporate some men. So it was a mixed crowd, and we focused on how do we expose these young people to information on what are the skills you need to have now to be a relevant person in the workplace. So I think to the point about trying to reach some locations like Niger, I feel like because of technology now, even if we can't go there physically, we can connect remotely. I also know that we still have, internet and technology barriers, because a lot of women still don't have equitable access to technology. But I think virtual programs are one way that we've been trying to reach more women and girls with information on how do you develop the skills that you need. Because I meet a lot of young women, and these are women that have gone through universities, but I ask them for their resume, and I just have to close my eyes, because I'm like, what did they teach you in school about how to write a resume? And apparently they don't teach you how to write a resume in universities in Nigeria. So for us, with the mentorship program, we try to fill in that gap wherever young people are lacking information. We also connect women to mentors, because a lot of women that we have, they have a job. Even for that International Youth Day event we actually did a survey where we asked, are you employed full-time, part-time? It seems like a lot of young people are employed in a way, but not a full-time job, and not a job that they feel fulfilled in. So how can we help young people get the kinds of jobs that they will find fulfillment in? It's really about knowing what kinds of technology skills do you need. Now, it's not just about knowing how to take selfies or do reels on social media, but how do you target the right audience? How do you put the right messages out there? How do you ensure your video is done with the best quality? How do you ensure that on your resume, you're using the kinds of keywords? Okay, and I know a lot of young people just don't realize this. I feel like you just think you submit a piece of paper and somebody's supposed to give you a job because, oh, you put your picture on your resume. But have you highlighted the skills that job is looking for? So that's what our mentorship program does, making sure that young people can, first of all, identify what you're good at, and then we help you now amplify that talent by helping you articulate what you're good at, so that you can attract opportunities. And some of the successes we've had young people, one of my favorite example is a young lady that joined our mentorship program. I think it was 2020, and our mentorship program is 3 months at a time. And she joined, and one of the things she told me was that she has been trying to study abroad for the longest. She keeps getting admission, but she's not getting funding to go. So finally, she reached out to me. She got into the mentorship program. Even after the mentorship program, she's like, Onyinye, I'm not letting you go. Like, there's still so many things I want to learn. And then I now hired her as my personal assistant. I wasn't paying. I told her, I don't have money to offer you, but I want to help you develop some skills. And she just latched on. And then she also found out that I went to University of Washington, and they highlighted me as 50 change makers of public health. She's like, Onyinye, I want to apply to this school. I wrote her a letter of recommendation, helped her with her application. Anyway, long story short, today she's wrapping up her master's in the University of Washington. This is a mother of two. I mean, she has traveled. She has even found a way to take her children with her to the US. But for me, those kinds of things give me joy, because this is a young lady that it wasn't like she wasn't applying herself, but she needed to be strategic. She needed to connect with the right people. So thank God for God's grace and for the connection to me. And now she's able to pursue her dreams. And then she is also now giving it back to others. Like she comes back to the mentorship program to share her own experience. She now helps other young people review their scholarship applications, and helps them identify the kinds of skills that they would need for the opportunities that they want. So yeah, so for me, the mentorship piece is very key. Because when women have the right information and they have the right network to be able to open up doors for them, they now are able to be self-dependent, or at least not have to rely on somebody else or rely on using their bodies or being abused. I've also seen organizations where they talk down on women. I mean, women are going through so much emotional abuse. So part of mentorship is to let every woman know that you don't deserve to be talked at like that. You don't deserve to be the last one in the office when everybody else gets to go home. No, not because you're a woman, but you have to recognize that you have value. And if there are ways that you're deficient, because all of us have areas of growth, but you need to know that this is an area that I need to improve in, and then we want to help you improve in those areas. So yes, I would say we provide mentorship. We also provide access to job opportunities, even through Strong Enough Girls. I have 4 staff members. They are paid. For me, Strong Enough Girls is a way of also employing women, and not just me being the face of the organization, but allowing them to also come into themselves and also be the kinds of leaders that they want to see. So yeah, so we do it through mentorship. I feel like there was something else I wanted to share. And then of course, community outreaches, just going to talk about the value of girls' education. We need to really get more people to believe in the value of investing in a girl to go to school. So I think with those strategies, we're addressing gender-based violence.
I must say you are doing a good job. I
Thank you.
haven't seen the women, but from testimonies speak of what people do or what people have done, and the testimonials you are giving, it shows that you are taking very actionable steps to really ensure that they reduce the rate of unemployment. Like you said, community outreaches. I This year I've been to Jigawa State, and one of the things I've noticed
Faith, are you still with us? Okay, it's like our network is having issue. Can everyone hear me, please?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, I think Faith's network is bad. Martina, please, can you take it from here?
Okay, I'm so sorry for that. I was actually trying to reply that on the chat. Yeah, so I want to say very big thank you to Oni for that beautiful presentation, and we'll be moving forward to the next one. And all right, so on the areas in which we already know in Nigeria, basically we have a lot of crisis ongoing, economically, um, politically, and I want to say a lot has actually come up even during the new emerge administration, like the fuel subsidy issues, and this has also affected a lot of women, especially even from our region here. I can tell you specifically how many women have reached out for support. And of course, age has actually been at the front line of ensuring that women have the necessary support they need to be outstanding, and not to also fall back to not to be waiting on their husbands alone or people around them to do things for them. Just of recently, a woman, 2 weeks ago, a woman came in saying she had a lot of issues financially. She's actually trying to come up with a business, and of course, in a way, we've been able to support her to ensure that yes, she have this needed support so that she will not be left out. This happens because of the kind of husband, just like was shared earlier, want to see a red flag from the onset, run away from it. But a lot of our women feels like once I am in this, I can actually continue. If he can change, that issue was what has led to where she finds herself today, and it's really, really not. It wasn't actually a good one for any woman to continue in a relationship that has been violent for years. Yeah, I will tell you specifically, she has 4 kids now, and then the man is not able to cater for the family. She has been the one catering for the family, but then he is violent. In this, what are we going to say? Women have to know that they have a lot to offer out there. So you're not limited to what is how do I call it? You're not limited to standing on one place and say, this man will change, even when you have seen the red flag. So, but anyways, in our own way, we were able to support, and also she was able to overcome that trauma and stand out. Yes. So, and that, okay, I think Faith is back now, so she will continue with this with that section while I will take up another section from there. Yeah, Faith, over to you. Hi, Faith, are you there? All right, so I guess she's having some issues until she joined back. Okay, so from our last the essence of the whole of this issues we're trying to address, you know, a lot of sorry, please, a minute. Just like I was saying, a lot of women need help. They need to be outspoken. Yes, some of us are not willing to actually break free from it, but in our ways, in the community, in sensitizing and educating women and girls in various schools, I think we've been able to help quite a number of them know their stand, and also stand up for themselves. So our next on the discussion it goes to a question goes to Fasi. Fasi, are you there? Still with us?
Yes, I am.
Hi, Fasi, are you still with us?
Yes, I
All
am.
right.
I'm
So
right here.
our next question for you is can you share your all right. Okay, so in all this communal crisis and that has happened, how do you think this can be addressed, or what's the way forward to ending reducing this rate of GBV as it relates to this crisis that have been ongoing?
Thank you very much, Martina. So what I think needs to be done is many people don't accept violence, and accepting not in the terms of allowing it to happen, but in the sense of knowing that it actually happens and believing that it actually happens before trying to critique and unpack things like someone is actually in court. So I think many people we've come from very different, we've grown up in a very Africanacity way of living, where our cultures, we have so many gender stereotypes that we practice, we believe in, and it's kind of our way of life. And so when you find we continue to uphold such stereotypes that are really negative and archaic, then the acceptance of knowing that gender-based violence actually happens to someone, and the myths that come about it, then will continue to exist, and then we shall not have an end of GBV. So the need for people to accept that gender-based violence actually happens is one thing, and this should be right from children to youth to really the elderly, knowing that it actually happens, and it happens every time. Even as we speak at the Speak and Heal Summit right now, someone is experiencing gender-based violence. It could be in their marital home, on the street, in a market, in a bar, depending on the time zone, wherever there is someone being violated, especially a woman or a girl. And so we need to accept this so that whenever it actually happens, we are alert and awake and know what to do thereafter in our different capacities. But even just so that we can be able to set meaningful and intentional preventive measures to it. But also speaking towards prevention, I feel we need to invest more, just as the theme for this year's 16 Days of Activism has called for us. There is need to invest more in prevention of a GBV, other than waiting for GBV to happen and then we start blaming or shaming or trying to resolve it, and yet it has actually already happened. And that happening affects this particular survivor 30 years from now, 20 years from now, or for their whole lifetime. And so the need for us to invest in education, mentorship programs, just as one of the speakers did speak towards, is very important. People need to be made aware of not their laws only, but how can they own their laws apart from knowing that this is, this is your right, that you have to go to school, that you are supposed to enjoy being a child as a child and not a bride. And so as much as we let them know this is your right, we need to help them own these rights. And in ownership is what civil society organizations entirely do, being able to address some of these things as bold as they come. So the need for us to really invest in preventive measures is very important as a way forward. And this is not something that should only be for the governments or for those in power, but for everyone in their own capacity. If you're a grassroots initiative organization, what can you do in preventing GBV and not having your mission only towards the fact that you can create a survivor's home? But how about your mission also involves the fact that you can create preventive measures towards preventing gender-based violence? Also, just as we're seeing COP28 happening right now for the past 9 days or so, and the conversation is around financing. There is need for financing as well in GBV causes and actions. There is no money everywhere. And so you find even the fact that we have failed to have a centralized reporting network for gender-based violence, especially online gender-based violence in the different countries. This is because there's no money. Our governments claim they have given money to, police as an agency, for example, but police cannot channel that money into creating a system or a network to report online gender-based violence. So as much as we invest money in other things, and there's a big cause of climate happening right now, there is a similar need to finance issues concerning gender-based violence, especially preventive measures, but even other systems that do exist. Civil society spaces like Strong Girls, like Age Network, and many others need more financing to be able to do what they do in the best space possible. But also, I think even as much as there's need for money, the conversation on governments or societies creating widening civic space is very important. When you come to countries like mine, we still have issues of, we actually not still have, but we have existing issues of civic space shrinking. We cannot openly have conversations such as this, right? In particular nations or particular countries or particular regions. We cannot have conversations openly as women about something. A group of youth cannot openly converse or initiate to organize something because they're youth, and it could cause political unrest or something. Like, there's always an issue. So that definitely shrinks the need for people to be aware, for young people to be aware, for children to be aware, for societies, for people to partner, and so then it falls hands. So the need for shrinking space to be a space that is invested in terms of it being wider and involving everyone shrinking civic space is very important for me. And lastly, I think for me could be another another way forward is, as much as we very much know that online happenings mirror offline happenings. And so it's very important for us, as much as we continue to speak towards things that happen offline, is the same energy we have to transfer to things that happen online. Because many of our engagements, just as this would have been a physical event, but we have better ways to be able to have different people around the world have this, and we have had it as an online space. So online has come for us as a way to even make life easier, but to even make changes, us working towards societal changes, even faster and simpler. So investment in online spaces such as this, creating measures that allow women and girls to easily explore, to easily express themselves, to easily be what they want to be and not be marginalized even online, is very, very important. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much for that. Thank you so much for that. In some some of them really these things have been taking place, and some have been implemented, and I believe more work needs to be done. Just like you said, more work needs to be done, and we are hopeful that in the next years to be able to accomplish and achieve the UN Sustainable Development Goals. All right, so our next question goes to Madam Oye. Are you still in the house? And Dr. Idota, are you in the house, please?
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah, so I know in the area.
Yes, I'm also here.
All right, now welcome. All right, so in the areas in which we've mentioned to all of us to deliberate on, we have not included women's sexual reproductive health, and that is why this question is coming in now. And then this further to in some regions in sub-Saharan Africans, we have a high rate of FGM like female cutting, leading to severe health consequences, and some of them, like these women who are sexually abused, also have a lot of issues that they are facing, a lot of complications coming up. So, in your field as sexual health experts, I would love you to throw your takes on this and how to help these women once this happens. What are they going to do to secure themselves from maybe infections, to prevent themselves from those things that would have affected them maybe in the future, so this complications. So I think we start with Dr. Idota, please.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, we can hear you.
Can you hear me, please?
Yes, ma'am, we can hear you.
Yes, we can. Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. If I get your question correctly, you were saying like preventing some sexual STIs
Yes, ma'am.
that happens.
Yes, at the cost of this violence, sexual
GBV.
yes. So sexually abused women and girls face a lot of consequences, like a lot of complications. So now, in this process, what exactly can we do to help these women overcome this? Maybe at the early stage, I think once it is realized earlier that you have been raped, you need to do something. If they have those precautions, it will go a long way in helping them.
Okay, I think one of the first thing is also to educate people and to encourage them to speak up, because that's one of the things that we notice is that people don't speak up early, so it becomes difficult to even solve it. And then it gets even more complicated. At the case of Oshanya that I mentioned earlier, she had been sick consistently, but nobody knew about it. Like nobody knew it. She has been consistently raped over time. And so by the time it was being discovered, she already developed vaginal fistula that had become even more complicated. And it even led to her death. No, I remember a number of times they had to bring her to get treated. I was aware of that. But nobody knew that was what she was going through. And if we are able to, but then we need to create a safe space for them to be able to speak up first, because I'm sure she was scared. And she even speak up early for that to have been solved earlier. And it was until she spoke while they had to question her at some point, where they had to speak. I think it was at the hospital where they had to talk to her in one of those times that she eventually opened up. But by that time, it was already too late, and eventually she died. So first, we need to try to create a way that people can create a safe space for people to be able to speak. And then because mostly when we look at the cases we've had over time, we enable the society and even families encourage and enable it. So people become even scared to talk because they are going to scold you. I mean, I had a teenager reach out to me that she was abused, and then she said she cannot tell her guardian because they would not believe her, they would not listen to her, because everybody reverence and adore the man in question. So she can't talk.
Can imagine.
So we need to address that. And then we need to have we need to create systems where even with the current economic crisis, people can still have access to certain facilities. If we have like I know there are a lot of programs in Nigeria and some even NGOs where they have like free access to free healthcare, especially cases like I think they have HIV programs where you can easily get maybe pre-exposure prophylaxis and some of those things. If we have such if such units are created in communities, especially communities, because sometimes this thing happen in the villages and then they can't even get access to some of these things. But I think with the times I've worked in some villages, I've seen that they have some of these things in rural villages because we've worked on projects where we had to be in deep into some villages, and then we provided healthcare facilities, especially for HIV patients. So if such facilities can be put in place, that people can easily be rushed to, like, oh, this person was raped, can we provide like first aid immediately such that there are no consequence? But it all boils down to speaking up, and that's one of the things we need to address: providing support system, advocacy, awareness, and then in faster ways that people can communicate, where people can escalate issues. Like we put up lines that, you can easily call this line or easily reach out to this person, and cases where people will not be victimized because they are speaking out. Because we can't even address it and solve them from even having future consequences if they are not addressed from the grassroots. It begins even from the homes. Because all the cases we've had, the difficulties we've experienced before the cases got escalated were from the homes and the families. It happens. No, let's keep it. You can't go to the hospital. People would know. What would they say? And then someone have to deal with it. You get a child gets infected with HIV that she probably just a little kid. And so I feel we should, these are some of the things we could do: provide these facilities, encourage and advocate for them to speak up, and then create support systems and safe environments that enable people to talk, and then make available some of these facilities and resources that people can get access to easily. And we also need a lot of funds for it, funding. But I'm glad that a number of NGOs are taking up some of these things. There are even NGOs that make provision for family planning in cases like this, where they could just they could do some of this when they see that there's a case of repeated cycle and reoccurrence. They could just encourage the woman, okay, instead of giving birth consistently when you are being abused and then you keep going back because there are issues like this, maybe you could use family planning for now while we try to solve the issue, something like that. So we need to get back to the grassroots. We need to make all this available to be able to avoid it escalating. Because each time I think about Ochonna, because I knew her, I feel that it should have been avoided and she shouldn't have died the way she died.
Oh, that's amazing. That's really amazing. Okay, so Madam Oye, please, can you take up from there? So
yes,
yeah, basically sharing on the sexual violence. Now we're talking about sexual violence. You know, women are facing a lot of trauma as a result of rape, as a result of some social stigmas and other things, legal barriers and the rest of them, like the female genital mutilation and the rest. And you know, this we know on the health aspect have effects on those women and causes a lot of complications for them. So we want to learn from you now what you feel these women should do when they find themselves in this such situations.
Yes, thanks, Martina. And really, I don't have too much more to add on to what Dr. I believe Esther Idota just shared, because really she addressed a lot of it. But I do want to buttress the point about women speaking up. I don't know, I cannot overstate this. Women, I almost want to say we need to get selfish. Like, think about your life. Women have been nurtured as girls to just think about everybody else. What would he say? What would he do? What would they say? What would they do? But we have to realize that God created us to fulfill a purpose on earth. And I dare say that purpose was not to be abused by another human being. Some people might think their purpose is to get married, but God did not intend for you to marry somebody who will abuse you or suck the life out of you. Even in your marriage, you're supposed to fulfill purpose. Even in your singlehood, you're supposed to fulfill purpose. So for me, I feel like anything that keeps you from fulfilling the purpose for which God brought you on earth, it is not worth it, because at the end of the day, you answer questions to your maker. So sorry to try to get spiritual, but I cannot I cannot overstate. I mean, because we care too much about other people, and for me, I try to live my life about, like, at the end of the day, what matters is, what does God think, and would God approve of you being molested? Would He approve of you? I mean, the Bible tells us our bodies are a temple of the Lord. So yeah, so I think in Islam, in Christianity, all religions, I don't believe there's any religion that believes that women should be harmed. Even female genital mutilation, I did some research around it in Nigeria, and these are all cultural things, and culture can be changed. I want everybody to understand that culture can be changed, and we should not try to use culture and tradition to twist what the Bible or the Holy Book says, and about women being married at a certain age, all of those things. Like, if it causes harm to an individual, it is abuse. So you shouldn't engage in it. So for me, it starts with the woman. Think about yourself. Of course, Dr. Edota has talked about all the resources that are available. And I know for some people, it is hard to get out of your abusive situation. For example, adolescent girls that maybe are living with a guardian, and it's their guardian that is actually abusing them. I like that Dr. Edota talked about family planning. Yes, women need to know that you have access to protection. If you cannot stay away from sexual intercourse because your molester is in the same house and it will always disturb you, at least think of how can you protect yourself. If you cannot advocate for him to use a condom, you can take pills on your own, you can insert an implant, but all of these things you need to speak to a health service provider. And I know the first step is actually identifying a good health service provider. And the internet is, I mean, I always say Google is my best friend. There's no question I have put on Google that there's no answer for. So if you can get access to a cell phone, to the internet, you can find the help that you need. It might take some time, but I don't want women to feel like they are alone in this, and always know somebody else has been in your position. You're not the first person to be in that abusive. You're not the first person to be raped. You're not the first person to get pregnant multiple times. You are not the first person. So please, women and girls, and what I try to tell every woman and girl that I meet is that your life matters. Think about you. Everybody else will move on with their lives when you're dead. And God will ask you, what did you do with the life that you had when you were on earth? So you shouldn't have a response that you did not know, you were trying to get out of abusive relation. Like, no. Like, come on, God has given us anyway, yeah. So just, God has given us brains. He has also told you that you are fearfully and wonderfully made. So you should never allow anybody take that away from you, whether it's emotionally being abused. That's why I see some women that people talk to them anyhow. And I tell them, tell that guy, he should never call you again, or don't take that kind of disrespect. If he's touching you a certain way, I see a lot of guys in Nigeria, they like to touch women just anyhow. Like, no, it's your body. Even if they want to say, do you think you're Saint Mary or whatever? Yes, whatever. It's my body, and this doesn't feel comfortable for me. So yes, I just think there are resources out there. Connect with Strong Enough Girls. Just go on Google, just type in I need access to a condom, or nearest healthcare facility, or nearest safe space. You will find things that come up. And that's why I think education, all these things starts with education, literacy, and numeracy. Once women know how to read and write, on the media, there's so many opportunities for you to connect with healthcare professionals. So you have to be able to be aware that these resources are out there for you to be able to use them. So yeah. Let's not have women saying, I did not know, because in this day and age, we know that so many things are happening. We also know that you can protect yourself and try to get the help you need. It's not always easy. I don't want to neglect that. I know some situations are really horrendous, But I think if more women are speaking and if more women are advocating for each other, women and girls, we see abuse happen every single day, but we keep quiet. And I don't understand why a fellow woman would know that another woman is being abused and molested and will keep her mouth shut, because we think people will call us, or that you broke her marriage, you did this and that. But I'm just like, come on, let us be our sister's keeper. And that's why I keep saying mentorship matters. Let's connect women to other women so that they know that I have your back. When if you're going through abuse, I will have your back. I will take you to the hospital. I will try to make sure you get a safe space to stay. So that's another thing. We need to form sisterhoods and let other women know that we're not going to judge them for getting in a particular situation. All right, okay. I think I need to end there and
Thank you.
back to you.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. Thank you so much. All right, I don't know if any other person have contribution to that, on what you feel women can do besides speaking out. Hello, do we have anyone else?
I think all our speakers made very valid suggestions. I think what I'll add now is implementation. That is the lifeblood of every policy that is made. So we have spoken about it, and already these organizations are taking steps to ensure that it happens or that it works out. I would just say, let's do more, let's reach out more, and let's collaborate. Collaboration is very powerful in achieving all of this, because when one man stands on the road and shouts, "Fire, fire," people may turn and look, what's this one saying, safe? But when 5 people, 10 people, 20 people gather together and shout, "Fire, fire," every other person will take them seriously. So sometimes things are taken up and are, looked into seriously, not because they're actually valid, but because lots of people are talking about it. For example, when we had the Black Lives Matter in 2020, right? Because so many people came out en masse at the very same time to shout about it, it began to gain grounds and all of that. And then now whites are even literally afraid of blacks, right? Because they don't want to be called racist. So I feel like gender-based violence in the world and in Nigeria and Africa has now become a propaganda, a means of, becoming famous, a means of just getting a name, a means of our governments trying to collect money from other institutions, from foreign bodies for their own personal pocket, because they cannot take the funding for gender-based violence, having a station, as Fancy said, has not been provided. It's just that they are using it as, whenever they need to campaign for one thing or another, they would rush and say gender-based violence. So I would say, let's work, let's collaborate. Having our name on the door, just as Onyinye said when she came on board, is not the most important. Ensuring that our goal is met is the most important. So I would say collaboration should be part of it, and implementation. Thank you so much. Thank you also to all the speakers. It's amazing hearing all of you speak so much from your heart.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much. And I would like to add to that, from our end, to some of the women joining in, we would like you all to know that we also have a platform for you to connect, to speak with experts, health experts in the fields. When you feel you have some of the health complications, you're having some challenges, or you pass through one of these issues, and you feel you need somebody to speak to, an health expert, our numbers, our toll-free lines are always open for every one of you to call through for help. Abele by Choice, Padi are always available for you, to give you all your unmet sexual reproductive health needs, contraceptive use, family planning, and the rest of them. So always feel free to reach out to us when you have any of this. And so I want to use this medium to say a very big thank you to everyone who has connected.
Wait, before we go, please, can everybody open their camera so we can take a group picture, please?
Yeah, they will do that. Okay, so Fancy and Dr. Idota and Onye, Faith, thank you all for connecting. Thank you for your time. And then most especially say that thank you too for connecting to share and advocate for your community, for your girls. And I believe as you're doing this, more grace to you. We're praying more for more grace for you, and then more opportunities will be open for you to do more for them. Yeah, so you can always just like I've seen the chats that you dropped that you need platforms. Of course, our platforms are open. We have the STEM Girls platform where girls connect on for technological skills to be inclusive. We also have the Let Girls Lead platforms where they can connect. So feel free to share our contacts to them. You already have available by choice hotlines, so you can always give to them to reach out in case you have any of this in need. Whenever they need them, we're always available. Yeah. So please, can we open a camera so we can just take a photograph? As we say, a very big thank you to you all for joining, and those that will be watching that have been as connected online to watch. We're saying thank you too to you, and remember, strength doesn't just come from what you do, but this means overcoming what and standing out. Know that you can do better. So it is important that you don't limit yourself to what is happening to you now. But then you see that your strength comes in when you're able to speak out, accept what is going on around you, and speak out for help. Call for help whenever you know it is needed. So that is where your strength lies. And to that, you'll be able to overcome all of these challenges. So even after the 16 days of activism, please be open to sharing challenges that you know you are facing and you need guidance. So we also connect young girls and we also have Strong Enough Girls on Ye platform, and then STEM Girls also have a platform where we connect girls to mentors also to help them overcome the fear of mathematics. So thank you once again, everyone, for joining, and do have a lovely weekend. Yeah, bye.
Thank you. All right, I hope you've taken your picture.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank
Thank
you.
you.
Okay,
Sure.
all right. Bye, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Yeah, bye.